Good afternoon. My name is Nick Henriksen. I'm an associate professor of Spanish in the Department of Romance, Languages, and Literatures here at the University of Michigan. I specifically teach and have taught many of the students sitting in front of us today in courses related to Spanish linguistics, such as phonetics and phonology, sociolinguistics, language acquisition, and a really exciting seminar focused on a regional variety of Spanish spoken in southern Spain called Andalusian Spanish. In addition to this, I also serve as associate chair of the Department of Romance, Languages, and Literatures. And in that capacity, I am presiding over today's commencement to welcome students, family, friends, faculty, and staff to our department's long-anticipated and in-person celebration to honor the graduating class of 2023. So, class of 2023, let me first recognize that these 4 years did not turn out how you envisioned them to be. Due to the COVID pandemic, many of your classes were pushed online, and you went back to your childhood homes to engage in Zoom learning. Others of you were displaced and heartbroken after study abroad programs closed down in March 2020, and countless others have not been able to relish the international component of your foreign language degree due to the travel restrictions we all know about. But you did it, and here you are. And as I see it, you have proven to be perhaps the most passionate, committed, and resilient group of Catalan, French, Italian, Portuguese, and Spanish language learners that I've ever met in my more than 20 years of service to this profession. And with that recognition in mind, I would like to invite everyone here to be the first in offering an enthusiastic and heartfelt applause to our department's class of 2023. Congratulations on a well-deserved degree. Congratulations. Okay, that was very nice. They deserve it. They deserve it. I, for one, am really excited about today's schedule of events to celebrate you, the graduating class of 2023. At the same time, I think it's also important that we all acknowledge that today isn't only about the graduating students. At Michigan, we love to talk about how we are the leaders and the best. We do. We say it all the time. But anyone who knows me also knows that I define leadership as putting the people who you care about on the path to success. And in that spirit, it becomes extremely important to also acknowledge the parents, grandparents, guardians, extended family members, besties, and everyone else who got you into the doors of the Modern Languages building 4 years ago, and who will likely continue to offer critical support and guidance during your undergraduate years. And I say this because during your time at Michigan, you have demonstrated incredible growth and adaptability. Many of you, graduates, might now realize that you no longer think or act just like your parents or extended family might have intended for you to. And you've probably come to the realization that your experiences at Michigan have caused a shift in how you see the world and how you identify, not as individuals, but more collectively as global citizens. But putting any generational differences aside, I think we need to express our gratitude to the family members and friends who long ago put you on the path to success. And by success, I mean getting you to be able to sit where you are today. They empowered you to become the newest generation of leaders and thinkers. So graduates, please join me in offering a heartfelt and appreciative round of applause to all family members and friends who are present, as well as to those who could not attend today. Thank you. That was very nice. Hope there's more of that later on. So, parents, grandparents, extended family and friends, there are two questions that I know that are likely on many of your minds. First, why did my child major or minor in French, Italian, Portuguese, or Spanish? And second, what are they going to do with this foreign language degree after graduation? And I get it. I get where those questions come from. I was one of 6 children raised by a very extended family of Caribbean immigrants on the East Coast. In my personal case, due to a lack of space, I was often shuffled between family in Queens, New York, suburban New Jersey, and some of the most remote areas of the Caribbean islands of Trinidad and Tobago, where my parents lived. You can probably imagine what our financial situation was like, and the pressure that was put on every one of us to find success. So yes, I can tell you a foreign language degree is so much more than target language proficiency. And yes, it is so much more than knowing how to conjugate a verb or how to say window, paperclip, or poodle in Spanish. And I know that a foreign language degree empowers critical thinking, complex yet objective reasoning, learning how to connect with those whose lived experiences are different from your own, and gaining resilience and confidence through knowing that every time you utter a sentence in your foreign language, you're going to make at least one mistake, if not more. But for today's commencement, I don't want to just say what a foreign language degree can do for you. Today, I aim to show you what a foreign language degree can do for you. And in that spirit, we have 2 exceptional invited student speakers whose lived experiences, resilience, capacity for deep critical thinking, and whose profound and learned empathy exemplify why every undergraduate student in our department has exemplified what every undergraduate student in our department has gained through their degree in French, Italian, Portuguese, and Spanish. So let's go there. Our first speaker is Lucas Rubin. Lucas, you have a fan club apparently.
Yeah, thank you.
Lucas is one of the rare and exceptional students on campus who has completed the full set of requirements from 2 of Michigan's 19 colleges. Within the School of Music, Theater, and Dance, also known as SMTD, Lucas holds a Bachelor of Musical Arts in Voice Performance. Within the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts, LSA, Lucas holds a Bachelor of Arts in Spanish. I know from personal experience that Lucas speaks exceptional Spanish. To be honest, I'd venture to say that Lucas's Spanish skills fall within the top 1% of students I've ever known. His diction is on point. In many cases, it's better than mine. But that's not why Lucas was nominated to be an invited student speaker. Lucas was nominated for his fierce dedication to immersing himself in Spanish at all levels of his undergraduate education. You'll see him, for example, at our department's Friday morning coffee hours on the 4th floor of the Modern Languages building. You'll see him volunteering with Spanish-speaking children at Bach Elementary School on Saturday mornings. And, if you're lucky, you'll see Lucas carrying out Spanish language vocal performance in the School of Music, Theater, and Dance. And you'll also see Lucas deeply engrossed in research. He has taken on some truly fascinating and innovative projects during his time at Michigan. And after taking a gap year to teach English in Spain, starting in September 2023, Lucas plans to attend graduate school to pursue a PhD in Spanish linguistics. So, Lucas wants to be like one of us. And let me assure you that our discipline stands so much to gain from his raw, scholarly intellect. I hope that you enjoy his speech.
Oh, goodness. Sorry, folks.
Just a quick fix.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Nick, for that kind introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lucas Rubin, and I recently graduated with degrees in Spanish and voice performance. I began studying Spanish in 6th grade. From the very first day of class, I was enthralled with the language. But it was in high school that my passion and interest really took off, thanks to one incredible teacher, Lisa Ortiz. Senora Ortiz was an inspiration who always encouraged me to pursue my passion for Spanish. Unfortunately, she is no longer with us. May she rest in peace. I began my studies at U of M as a voice performance major in the School of Music. I knew that I wanted to continue studying Spanish while at U of M, but given the demanding nature of my requirements as a voice student, all I could realistically take on was a minor. While pursuing the Spanish minor, I took Professor Olga Gallego's writing course. During an office hours appointment, Olga encouraged me to change from a minor to a major in Spanish. This occurred during the initial months of the COVID-19 pandemic, which we all recall gave us a lot of time to sit with our own thoughts. I knew that I wanted to commit myself fully to the study of Spanish, so I decided to go for it. I'd like to thank Olga for encouraging me to make this decision. I can easily say that declaring a major in Spanish was the best decision I have ever made. I have benefited from so many phenomenal experiences during my time in RLL, one of which has been volunteering as a classroom assistant for Professor Teresa Satterfield's literacy program called En Nuestra Lengua. En Nuestra Lengua, or In Our Language, is an academic program that aims to strengthen the literacy skills of young speakers of Spanish. I would like to thank Teresa for giving me this opportunity to broaden my linguistic and cultural horizons. Another highlight of my experience majoring in Spanish was studying abroad in Santiago de Compostela, Spain, during the spring 2022 semester. During my 7 weeks in Spain, I forged some of the closest friendships of my college career. On long weekends, I traveled with friends to Portugal, Barcelona, and Seville. I would describe study abroad as an intense experience in the best of ways. Imagine traveling 20 hours on 3 different planes to arrive in a place that you've never been to and know very little about. While the experience challenged me in a plethora of ways, it also prompted great personal growth. Whether it was through course meetings, dinners with my host family, or trekking the Camino de Santiago, it was a pleasure to immerse myself in the language and culture that I so deeply love. Through completing the Spanish major, I took many fascinating and engaging courses in linguistics, which is the science of language. While the courses I took provided me with a solid understanding of linguistic analysis, the training I received transcended the walls of the classroom. This past year, I joined the department's speech production lab, and thanks to the incredible guidance and mentorship of Professor Nick Henriksen, I have completed my first research project, which originated from an independent study. The project examines the deeper meaning of sa and tha sounds in Andalusian Spanish, which is a dialect spoken in the southernmost part of Spain, where Seville and Granada are located. I'm now in the process of converting the final paper from my independent study into an article that I intend to publish in a linguistics journal. And to follow up on this work, I'm really excited to let you know that next year I'll be living in southern Spain teaching English. In addition to that, I definitely intend on conducting new research on the ground that will lead to more findings. One major takeaway from my linguistics research has been that studying a foreign language goes far beyond conjugating a verb or learning a bunch of words. What majors and minors in this department learn to do is to critically analyze language on a much deeper level. Let me give you an example from this project. Some of you may have heard it said that people from Spain speak Spanish with a lisp. Well, first of all, I'd like to clearly state that Spaniards do not speak with a lisp, nor do they speak with any form of a speech impediment. What is true, however, is that in most parts of Spain, the letters Z and C are pronounced with the sound th. It's also important to note that the letter S in most parts of Spain is pronounced as sa. This pronunciation system, in which S is pronounced as sa and Z and C are pronounced with th, is called distinción, because the distinction is made between these two sounds, sa and th. For example, the word for shoe, spelled Z-A-P-A-T-O, in distinción would be pronounced as zapato, while the word for six, spelled S-E-I-S, would be pronounced as seis. It may seem a little tricky, but you can pick it up really quickly if you spend time in Spain. However, adding on another layer of complexity, some speakers in the south of Spain don't seem to follow this rule when using these two sounds. On the surface, this variation may seem random, but what I discovered when examining the content of what a speaker is saying, coupled with the social context in which they find themselves, is that the pronunciation system that a speaker uses communicates a deeper layer of information, which is often tied to socioeconomic status, level of education, place of origin, and so on. In summary, this project has taught me that language is much more complex than what meets the eye. I know that the analytical skills that I have developed during my time in this department will serve me well in my future academic endeavors, which hopefully include graduate studies in Spanish linguistics. As I reflect on these last 5 years in RLL, what I am most struck by is all of the instructors who have inspired and supported me. I will forever be immensely grateful to every single one of you. Thank you, Vamos Azul, and Go Blue.
Thank you, Lucas. That was great. Our second speaker is Fiona Kohi. Fiona has completed minors in history and museum studies at the University of Michigan. Her major is Romance, Languages, and Literatures. This major, Romance, Languages, and Literatures, is the most rigorous major that our department offers because students study more than one Romance language and thereby make critical connections between the 2, 3, sometimes 4 languages and cultures that they choose to study. In Fiona's case, she has chosen French and Italian. I've gotten to know Fiona very well over the past few weeks as she shared with me her inspiring vision and mission for combining the skills gained by her foreign languages degree with her passion for conducting research and improving the lives of others. A few days ago, Fiona shared with me a rough draft of today's speech. The content was there, the intellectual depth was there, and the passion was definitely there. The delivery and organization, however, had space for betterment. After reading the draft, I gave Fiona what we call in this profession a hard edit. You might imagine what the track changes and comments looked like. Fiona's response to me, however, was so positive, appreciative, and demonstrative of profound resilience. In my career, I've never seen a student to be so receptive and so eager to receive constructive feedback. So let me guarantee you that the strength of character that Fiona possesses and the critical thinking that she does and is capable of are exceptional. Like Lucas, Fiona will spend a gap year teaching English abroad, starting in August, September 2023. She'll be headed to France. After that, she plans to pursue a degree in library or museum studies. Fiona is the type of person who, 10, 15 years from now, you'll read about in the New York Times, curating a new exhibit at the MoMA in New York City, or perhaps spearheading a new collection at the Chicago Institute of Art. I really hope you enjoy her speech.
Thank you, Professor Henriksen, for that really warm introduction. Thanks. I started learning French when I was 14 years old. I was a freshman in high school, and like my classmates, we were presented with a simple choice: learn Spanish or learn French, just for 2 years, and be on your merry way. I chose French, and then started Italian during my sophomore year of college. But even through my time at the University of Michigan, I always found myself looking for the best way in answering the question, why? Or why study a language or two at all during college? I'll try my best to finally provide an answer for why foreign languages do matter. We, as humans, need to be in different places. Does that make sense? I, for one, didn't think so, until I read up on it a bit more in both a French and Italian class. To be at all is to be somewhere, and for us to be somewhere is to be in a place. Near or far, here or there, we are always and will always be in a place. And they're always changing. Unless, of course, you're a medieval monk or a hermit of sorts, whom I did encounter during my studies here. More on that later. We often change the places in which we find ourselves for work, school, and travel, which, needless to say, seems obvious. As much as I told myself I didn't care about a here or a there, a space or a place, and as much as I thought I dreaded reading about these sorts of nuances in my French and Italian classes, I still think something matters here. We took places for granted. We didn't care to intentionally think about places until they were taken from us. The coronavirus pandemic threw all of us, especially my fellow graduates, into this abstract space on the internet. This made me realize that even though the world is easily accessible in the palm of our hand, and that it gives us a semblance of endless places around the world, there's something more to the human experience, and it's physical. We crave places. It's ever-changing and exciting because we add ourselves to each new one that we go to. And let me tell you how I came to understand this. During my time at the University of Michigan, I found myself, perhaps unconsciously, fixated over this very idea. For starters, I have an incessant travel bug, so I personally enjoy being in new places, well, all the time. So, although I couldn't study abroad in France, Senegal, or Italy because of the pandemic, I tried to create a close enough alternative, all while staying on campus, mainly through extracurricular research. Beginning with historical research with French professor Michel Hanouche, through the Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program, which many students and faculty know as Europe, I exposed myself to Algeria and Morocco, tracing the French artist Delacroix's own journey to new places and exploring the ways in which he added himself to them through his diary and watercolors. The following year, I had the opportunity to translate into English some of these witnesses to Delacroix's travels and greater thought. In my thesis with French professor George Hoffman this year, I studied maps at the Clark Library on the second floor of Hatcher, mainly ones drawn up by that French medieval monk I had mentioned earlier. His name is Guyon de Metz. to try and see how people in the Middle Ages thought about places unknown to them. After having critically engaged with these French medieval maps and having read in Italian Dante's Inferno, which was written in the 14th century, I was able to challenge the widely held assumption that people in the Middle Ages thought that the earth was flat. In other words, do you recall the old wives' tale that Columbus thought he was going to fall off the earth while sailing the ocean blue? Well, I'm pretty confident that he didn't think that was possible. Maps at their most basic level show us where places are. But without my knowledge of French and Italian, many of these places and things I've discovered through my research would otherwise have been inaccessible to me. Knowing their languages was essential in helping me navigate them, and I wasn't even physically there. To me, knowing a language is a tool we take for granted until we find ourselves in a new place that speaks a different one. Now, since we can travel again, we can finally branch out to the new places that we've been craving. Our knowledge of Romance languages, languages that are spoken in 78 countries, will allow us to navigate these new places more easily. Not necessarily like a map does, but rather in a way that bridges gaps between cultures, people, and their experiences within them. By physically putting ourselves in and successfully engaging with a new place, we build empathy, which is something we can't fully appreciate via a Zoom call. To my classmates, as abstract or as unnecessary as it may seem, be aware of each place in which you find yourself and continue to work on ways to communicate with them, like learning a language, or two, or maybe even three. If we focus our energy a bit more on the obvious, I sincerely believe that we can place ourselves in another's position more meaningfully and contribute to building a more empathetic world. And I think that's why I decided to stick with French and Italian. And I think this is why foreign languages matter. Merci beaucoup, grazie mille. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lucas and Fiona, for those really inspiring speeches, anecdotes, and words of wisdom. Please know that in my mind, you already are leaders and the best. Congratulations to both of you. As a faculty member in the Department of Romance Languages and Literatures, it would be remarkably irresponsible of me to not recognize the commitment, passion, and intelligence of my colleagues who, day in and day out, and that includes evenings and weekends sometimes, inspire, motivate, and lead our undergraduate student body through transformative learning experiences and individualized mentorship. Lucas and Fiona are just two examples, and there are so many more in front of us, who demonstrate how the RLL faculty and staff affect positive change through their students and through themselves. Faculty and staff who are present, would you mind raising your hands briefly? Some of you over here, some of you over here. Raise your hands, please. Everyone else, join me in congratulating and thanking the dedicated faculty and staff of the Department of Romance, Languages, and Literatures. You are my heroes. Speaking of faculty, I am very excited to introduce everyone here to some of my colleagues who today are sitting beside me. They are great friends of mine and who share with me an unwavering commitment to providing transformative learning experiences to our majors and minors in the department. Let me first introduce you to Professor David Caron, who will offer remarks about the French major and minor in our department. Professor Caron will also honor the recipients of this year's Student Achievement Awards in French. These are students who are considered exceptional in their degrees. He will do so by asking the award recipients to stand when he calls out their names.
Well, well, well. Here you are, 4 years later, and what years those have been. When you started college, 2019, for most of you, everything seemed rather normal. And then something happened, and life got a little messy. But you pulled through. You made it. Perhaps not everyone in the best of shapes, unfortunately, and there's still a repair work to be done. But I'm glad you all could take time away from therapy to be here today. And please don't disturb the grown-ups nearby. They're actually working remotely right now. Yeah, the world has changed. It's been tough on them too. You know, they were sick about you. The country hasn't been this divided since the Civil War. The planet is warming up fast. Perhaps more so than ever, a college degree may well represent a crucial step toward guaranteeing that we all have a future. But you just had to study French, didn't you? You remember when some of you broke the news to your parents or whoever paid for your college education? Shortest conversation ever. I'm going to study French. No, you're not. But you did. You did. You decided to study different ways to think about history, politics, popular culture, urban cultures, affects, race, religion, gender, sexuality, education, labor, health, and the arts. All the arts. More fundamentally, you refused to let yourselves be suffocated by monolingualism, so you studied not just a foreign language, but a global language, one spoken in the Americas, Africa, Europe, the Arab world, the Indian Ocean, Southeast Asia, the Pacific, and yes, even Antarctica. All this, of course, because of the trading of enslaved human beings, colonial theft, and the plunder of the Earth's natural resources. But today, the language of the exploiter may offer you possibilities to work for justice here and around the world. You already call Doctors Without Borders by its real name, Médecins Sans Frontières. But you may also learn from experts in the West African country of Gabon, for example, who figured out how to combine reforestation with economic development. Or work with international lawyers in the South Pacific nation of Vanuatu, who just last month successfully spearheaded a UN resolution to make polluting countries legally accountable for failing to take on the climate emergency. You may collaborate with scientists dealing with the melting ice cap in Terre des Lies, a French-claimed territory near the South Pole. Or learn alternative ways of connecting with the land from First Nations in Canada. You can help establish dignified working conditions for the people in Vietnam and Cambodia who made the clothes you're wearing today, or activate for the future of women everywhere. And you will relate in myriad other ways with people from vastly different cultures who are our neighbors and whose well-being matters just as much as everyone else's. Given the challenges we're facing, we all make it together or we don't make it at all. I hope that having studied French and Francophone cultures will help you play your part, because in whatever way you can, you must. But hey, no pressure. First, we celebrate. Congratulations, French and Francophone graduates, and many thanks to those who have loved you and supported you. I will now ask the recipients of our Achievement Award to rise and be recognized. French majors, Elizabeth Mamel and Kristen Paternoster. French minors, Jasmine Body and Mark Johnson.
Now we have the great pleasure of hearing from Professor Carlo Mallet, who serves as the section head for Italian in our department. Professor Millett is also the chair of the Department of Middle East Studies here at the University of Michigan.
Thank you, Nick. Hello, graduates and families. I would like to take you back 175 years, back to the year 1848. It was a very eventful year in Europe. It started with popular uprisings in Palermo, in Sicily, in January. The Sicilians were unhappy with the repressive rule of the House of Bourbon, which sounds like it could be a bar on State Street. But, in fact, it was the name of the Spanish dynasty that ruled Sicily at that point. The revolutionary spirit spread to Paris, to Vienna, to Berlin, and beyond, as popular masses resisted tyranny and monarchs throughout Europe. Meanwhile, in the fall of that tumultuous year, still in 1848, back here in sleepy Ann Arbor, Italian classes were taught for the first time at the University of Michigan. This was something of a visionary initiative for the university. The man who taught the modern languages at University of Michigan, he taught French as well as Italian. He was probably the first person to hold a permanent position teaching languages, modern languages, at any university in the Midwest. 16 students took that Italian course back in 1848, and 15 of them passed. So I guess shout out to that one student. God knows where he ended up. It was only 20 years later that Italian became a regular course offering at the university, and 20 years after that, in 1888, the Dante course was taught for the first time at the University of Michigan. Italian at Michigan has had its ups and downs since 1848. We still teach the Dante course. We have almost every year since 1888. We also teach a course called Young, Wild, and Free, Youth Culture in Italy. And shout out to my colleague Giulia Ricco, who teaches that class and will this fall. They definitely did not teach that in 1888. And the Romance Languages Department has had its ups and downs since it was created in 1887. When I was researching the history of the department, I learned that the School of Engineering dropped its foreign language requirement in 1931, and Romance Languages saw a 14% decline in enrollments. A reminder that although this campus is big, it's always been a tight-knit community. I also learned that during World War II, faculty in Italian, Spanish, and French offered language and cultural training to American troops who were stationed in Europe. And I learned that there was something of a civil war in the department in the 1980s. The Romance languages almost split up then. The languages almost went their separate ways. But like the European Union, we stick together somehow. Despite our differences, we're stronger together. What do we teach when we teach languages? Our students learn, what you would expect, the verb conjugations and the vocab lists, and they also learn to appreciate, to understand, the kind of history that I'm sharing with you today. In the classroom, we encourage our students to dig down, to ask questions, to see the world from a new perspective, because that's what linguistic knowledge brings you. It brings you a passport to a new world, or for many of our students, a passport to the old world. Learning a new language allows you to build a new identity in a new place. And we're especially grateful to those families who were good sports and who sent our students to study abroad, and to those students who worked their butts off to get themselves abroad. I teach the Mafia course. I teach a course on the Italian Mafia. My students learn about the history of the Mafia, but they also learn about the history of the anti-Mafia movement. I show them images of the damage that Mafia bombs have done in Italy, and I show them photographs of anti-Mafia activists, anti-Mafia heroes. When our students go to Italy, when they read the papers, when they talk to Italians, they'll understand what a powerful symbol the anti-Mafia movement is for Italians today, especially for young Italians. The anti-Mafia symbolizes the people's ability to step up, to stand up to exploitation, to extortion and injustice, to stand up to tyrants, as they did in Palermo in 1848. When our students travel to Italy and talk to Italians, they'll also learn about the love-hate relationship that all Italians have with the EU. We start them on this journey in the classroom, but it's only when they get to Italy and can see it with their own eyes, can say it with their own mouths, only then that those lessons are brought home. So for those of you who are graduating this year and didn't manage to travel as a student yet, I hope that you'll get the chance. I hope you'll have the good fortune to do so soon, and take your families with you for part of the time. And for those who did make it to Italy during your years as a Michigan student, may that be the first trip of many. We in Italian are a very small group, and for that reason we have an especially deep appreciation for our community. We're happy and proud to be part of the Romance Languages Department. We take inspiration from our colleagues in Spanish, French, and Portuguese. We are stronger together, and I'd like to recognize all of our Italian language instructors, our lecturers and graduate student instructors who bring so much knowledge and so much joy into the classroom. But mostly we're here to celebrate the achievements of our students, both those things that you achieved while you were here at Michigan and what you will go on to do after your graduation. We're here to thank you for the life that you have brought to the department. And this is our chance to express big, warm thanks to your parents for all your support over the years. Congratulations, graduates, and go blue. And now I will recognize our Italian Achievement Awards recipients and ask them to stand and be recognized. Italian Major Lily Anderson. And Italian Minor Nicholas Provenzano. Yeah. Okay, congratulations.
Next, let me call to the podium Professor Lorenzo Garcia Maya, who will offer remarks about our Spanish major and minor, and who will also honor this year's recipients of the Student Achievement Awards in Spanish as well as in Portuguese.
Sorry, I happen to be taller. Okay. Dear faculty, distinguished guests, friends, and most importantly, the graduating class of 2023. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this special celebration. Today, we're here to celebrate our Spanish students, both those who are graduating as majors and those who have pursued this beautiful language as a minor. I'm incredibly proud of all of you and your accomplishments in studying Spanish and the diverse Hispanic cultures. Before we continue, I would like to take a moment to highlight the unique relationship between Spanish and both the University of Michigan and the state of Michigan. Our university has a long-standing commitment to promoting the study of Spanish and fostering cultural exchange. In fact, the University of Michigan was one of the first institutions in the United States to establish a Department of Romance, Languages, and Literatures back in 1893. Thanks to the vision and dedication of Professor Isaac Demon. His leadership set the foundation for generations of students to explore and appreciate the richness of these languages and cultures. Moreover, the state of Michigan has seen a significant increase in its Hispanic population over the years, currently making up nearly 5% of the state's total population. This growth has led to a vibrant Hispanic community, contributing to the rich cultural diversity of our state. Furthermore, Spanish plays a crucial role in the United States as a whole. It is not only the second most spoken language in the country, with nearly 42 million speakers, but it also holds significant cultural, historical, and economic ties. The presence of Spanish-speaking communities has enriched American society, blending traditions, customs, and values, and fostering a more inclusive and diverse nation. As Spanish continues to grow in importance, the demand for bilingual professionals in various sectors, such as education, healthcare, business, and diplomacy, is also on the rise. One of the most enriching aspects of studying Spanish at the University of Michigan is the opportunity to immerse oneself in the language and culture through travel. Our students regularly embark on transformative journeys to countries such as Argentina, Ecuador, Chile, Costa Rica, and Spain, often exploring neighboring countries during their stays. These experiences provide invaluable opportunities to connect with people who not only speak other languages, but also see the world in different ways. These connections help our students broaden their horizons, fostering a deep appreciation for the diverse perspectives that make our world so rich and beautiful. As we gather here today, we celebrate not only your academic achievements, but also your commitment to embrace the rich tapestry of the Spanish language and culture. Your decision to study Spanish has not only equipped you with a valuable skill, but also has granted you access to a vast world of diverse culture, histories, and perspectives. These will undoubtedly enrich your personal and professional lives, opening doors to exciting opportunities and fostering connections with others. In our rapidly changing world, the importance of the humanities cannot be overstated. Not everything can be done with ChatGPT, at least not yet. And while science and technology drive innovation, it is the humanities that remind us of our shared humanity, allowing us to cultivate empathy, understand different perspectives, and ultimately work together to create a better future. Your studies in the field of Romance languages and literatures have provided you with a solid foundation to navigate the complexities of our global society, and we are confident that your contributions will have a lasting impact. As you embark on the next chapter of your lives, I encourage you to embrace your passion for the Spanish language and culture, to continue learning and growing. Share your knowledge with others and foster connections that transcend borders and cultural barriers. As graduates of the University of Michigan, you have been given the tools to make a positive impact on the world, and I have no doubt that you will use these tools wisely. On behalf of all the faculty in the Department of Romance Languages and Literatures, we congratulate you and wish you the greatest success in your future adventures. Congratulations, graduates. Go forth and conquer the world with love, understanding, and the beauty of the Spanish language. Thank you so much. I will call out now the names of the recipients of this year's Student Achievement Award in Spanish, so they will stand up and then we'll applaud at the end. Okay, well, let's start with the Spanish majors. We have Zoe Barnett. Or we can applaud after each name. Dawn Fields. Ria Gupta. Kevin Orlowski, Lucas Rubin, Megan Saab, and Jessica Zimmer. Congratulations. Now we have our Spanish minors. First, we have Mira Bader, Matthew Chang, Edgar Mercado Arzuaga, and finally, Meghna Singh. Congratulations to all. And now, yes, let's applaud, of course. And now we have the Student Achievement Award in Portuguese that goes to Sarah Gleason. Congratulations to everyone. Thank you.
In the Department of Romance Languages and Literatures, we have 2 named prizes awarded to exceptional graduating students. The first is the Chiara Maria Levin Award for Breadth and Excellence in the Romance Languages. The award will be presented by Professor David Caron.
The Chiara Maria Levin Award for Breadth and Excellence in the Romance Languages was created in memory of Chiara Levin, an RLL alumni who graduated with honors in 2006 and excelled in all 4 Romance languages taught here at U of M. This award is meant to encourage exceptional students like Chiara to excel in more than 1 Romance language. This year's recipient is Fiona Kohi. And I also wanted to take this opportunity to mention that Fiona received highest honors for her senior thesis entitled Ténacité instable, mouvance visuelle dans l'image du monde, or Unstable Tenacity, Visual Mouvance, I guess, inside the world. There. And then we'll get to Robert.
Congratulations, Fiona. I told you she was excellent. Next, Professor Ryan Speech from Spanish will introduce the recipient of the Agnes Nicolini Vincenti Award for an outstanding honors thesis.
This prize is a competitive monetary prize. Students who are in the honors program and have successfully completed their honors thesis can be nominated by their faculty advisor, who considers their work exemplary. For this award, I nominated my student, Julia Tweedy, who has earned a BS in Spanish with honors. Julia has been a stellar Spanish student, earning great grades, an A- or better in every single course for her major. And I have had the pleasure of having her in 3 classes over the last 3 years. One in the beginning of COVID, entitled Jews, Christians, and Muslims in the Medieval Mediterranean. And then Race and Anti-Semitism in Medieval Spain. And most recently, the literatures of 1492. Julia has also done great work as an honors student, laboring steadily for over a year on her thesis, entitled En busca de la histeria en la Iberia medieval, which, if you say it in English, actually rhymes, I think, in search of hysteria in medieval Iberia. That wasn't actually intentional, but it sounds really good, so look at us. Julia is a student with career ambitions in medicine, so it is fitting that this thesis sets out to trace the history of a medical idea, that of hysteria, and here you can read my air quotes, in medieval and early modern literature in Spain. Julia shows that the concept of hysteria is a rather unscientific ailment that was traditionally associated with female patients. It was first diagnosed, quote unquote, in ancient medicine in writers like Hippocrates and Galen, and became very prominent in the 19th and even 20th century as well. And in fact, I think, as Julia told me, it was only removed from diagnostic manuals in the 1980s. However, Julia found that medieval medical texts in Spain by Muslims, Jews, and Christians alike paid little attention to women's psychology, and in fact never mentioned anything like hysteria. Apparently, both men and women got melancholy, but nobody got hysterical. She explains this disparity by arguing that this diagnosis that persisted into modern medicine was actually based on a popular idea. She notes that popular literary texts discuss women and their emotions as a kind of social ill, something dangerous for men. So she concludes that hysteria, as we understand it, actually emerged from a literature of misogyny rather than medieval or even ancient medical practice. In this very ambitious thesis, which is over 50 pages in Spanish, and which earned the grade of high honors by the thesis committee, Julia has completed a very impressive research project. It successfully combines her interests in Spanish and medicine and sets the bar very high for honors theses. So it gives me a great pleasure to announce that this year's recipient of the Agnes Nicolini Vincenti Award for an outstanding honors thesis in the Romance languages is Julia Tweedy. Julia? Good job.
Our last short speech at recognition of student awards will be done again by Professor David Caron, who wears many hats in our department, to briefly offer words about our Romance Languages and Literatures major.
I'll make this quick. Just mentally combine the previous speeches for individual languages, and you'll have one for the students who studied not one, not two, but two, and sometimes three Romance languages. I've even seen four. To be an RLL major, though, means a lot more than piling up languages and additional credit hours. In a culture where so many tend to retreat to the supposedly safe company of those who see things exactly alike, your choices speak to a whole different approach to being in the world and with the world, a desire to multiply the vantage points from which you look at life alongside other people. Quick example. I was processing an RLL major's release form for graduation the other day and noticed on the transcript classes in Korean. Yes. These are these kinds of students. In fact, RLL majors often take on another major concurrently, and sometimes even a minor on top of that. I don't know how you do it, guys, but I'm in awe of you. I adore you, and I want to be you. So please join me in congratulating the few, the proud, our Romance languages graduates. I will now ask the recipient of our Achievement Award to rise and be recognized, Lillian Pierce.
Okay, we now move on to the most glamorous portion of today's ceremony, in which we recognize all students graduating from RLL with a diploma. We will begin with our French majors and minors, called upon again by Professor David Caron.
Do you have a list?
I think you will go.
Where's the list of names? Where's the list of names? Okay. And now we recognize our 2023 French and Francophone Studies graduates. And what?
Wendy will hand you the card.
Oh, okay. Carolyn Schrader. Johnson. Megan Darby. Julien Malherbe. Martha Starko. David Perkins. Elizabeth Mammal. Preston Paternoster. Shabby Anderson. Divya Ramamurthy. Summer Hoffman. Annie Malik. Ariana Shokuki, I'm sorry. And now we recognize our 2023 Romance Languages and Literatures graduates. Fiona Kohi. McCree Murphy. And Lillian Pierce.
Okay, we'll now recognize the Italian graduates. Krista Nicolino. Anderson. Jade Emery. Mary Caden. Jensen Gutzwiller. Margaret Barber. Congratulations, graduates.
And now we're going to do our graduates in Spanish for 2023. So, Edgar Mercado Arzuaga. Leah Bakutis. Zoe Barnett. Mackenzie Ellie. Catherine Harmeling. Katie Gann. Kevin Orlowski. Hi. Andy Gardiner. Riya Gupta. Madison Sakaham Bisan. Sharon Ma. Caitlin Riley. Miranda Schilling. Alexandra Vina. Shannon Higgy. Faith Reeder. Ania de Jerin Van Til. Alexis Howard. Emma Peterson. Leslie Secundino Rodriguez. Karen Pacheco. Rachel Complarens. Alexa Samani. Jessica Seamer. Aida Qureshi. Hannah Cohen. Elizabeth Sommerfeld. Emma Mendez. Maria Patton. Dawn Fields. Leah Smith. Megan Saab. Matthew Chang. Alison Saab. Maura Burns. Caroline Tomasian. Kathleen Tomasian. Caroline Chiarelli. Lilia Saluk. Brian Dury. Sarah Carpenter. Rachel Anderson. Bethany Furness. Holly Smith. Julia Shettleham. Elizabeth Gilreath. Harper Pervin. Alicia Tran. Tyler Traskus. Kevin Landrum. Mira Bader. Gabriela Cammons. Hana Enomoto. Claudia McLean. Sam Dickman. Nicholas Cook. Anna McGuinness. Rachel Greenspan. Virginia Martin. Lydia Schwasma. Abby Sanders. Caitlin Potter. Gabriel Borsoye. Chloe Spingler. Jessica Groves. Ali Weingarten. Sophie Greenberg. Holly Escher. Cassandra Bergen. Devon Baker. Rebecca Hopkins. Ryan Izatula. Ryan O'Connor. Christiana Scheibner. Lucas Rubin. Julia Tweedy. You're good.
Can we have one more healthy round of applause for the 2023 class of Romance Languages and Literatures? Thank you for the time. We have now come to the conclusion of today's program. Graduating class of 2023, welcome to a postgraduate world. Welcome to your adult lives. You're one of us now. You are. And we need you. We need your intellect, your compassion, your foreign language skills, and above all, your ability to collaborate, empathize, and make connections across cultures and with people. You have finally figured out what you're good at. Now, you have a degree to prove it. So, on behalf of the Department of Romance, Languages, and Literatures at the University of Michigan, I urge you, go out and please exceed all of our expectations. And then write to us about it. rll.mailbox@umich.edu. We really mean that, and we really want to hear from you. rll.mailbox@umich.edu. Please keep in touch and know that you truly do matter to us. And finally, graduates, don't ever forget, no matter where in the world your future takes you, you'll always have a place in the MLB. Congratulations again, you did it.